Greetings, everyone. Welcome,
evening.
you warriors of the broken sword. I am Jonathan,
I'm Nick.
and we are the Goslings. We are an interview live stream channel covering everything from Christian esoterica and conspiracy theories to cool interviews about writing with amazing people. And we have a pretty awesome show today. So, Nick, why don't you take it from here as far as our introductory obligatories?
Absolutely. Well, we're glad everyone's watching. If you have never seen us before,
Oh boy,
this
are
is
you in for a treat.
Yeah, I should apologize right now. It's going to get weird, even though the subject matter isn't weird. We're actually interviewing a very established, sane-based author tonight. You're going to really like the conversation.
Yeah.
But we like to get weird. We're like Christian authors plus weird stuff.
Yeah.
That's basically, if you could define it.
Yep.
Christian authors plus weird stuff. But we're really glad you're here. We're glad you're watching it. If you haven't subscribed yet, we'd love it if you would. Oh, we got to do the toast.
Yeah, we got to do the toast.
Yeah, don't do anything. Don't do anything yet.
The toast first?
Let's do the toast first.
All right. You want to lead or you want to lead?
I'll lead this time.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Let me put in this.
We do this every time. For anybody new who's watching, we always do a toast at the beginning. So feel free to read the ticker at the bottom and follow along with us. And Nick will say the first half, and then I will say the second half, and you guys all say the second half along with me.
Raise your glass. Take up the broken sword of your father.
And strike down the darkness. Cheers.
Cheers.
Yes.
And cheers to you guys watching us live. Let me go over here just to give a quick shout out to who's in the chat. J. Reese Bradley's in the chat. Tricky Subjects in the chat. Thank you guys. Mama Shaw OC. Good evening.
Holla shorties indeed, J. Reese.
Holla shorties.
How much coffee have you had today, Angela?
We're glad everyone is with us tonight. Thank you guys for watching. And now I can say, hit the subscribe button if you haven't done that yet.
Yes.
Take up the broken sword of your finger and strike down the subscribe button. We'd really appreciate that. And, speaking of our toast, today is kind of a special day. We say take up the broken sword of your father. Today is our father's birthday. He passed away
2015.
8 years ago.
Yeah.
And so today's kind of a special day, but we are glad that you guys are with us. I promise not to end up in the corner crying over there. Yeah, I'm over it.
Yeah. I'm over it. Fine. We'll do it live.
We'll do it live.
Yeah, and that kind of ties into like the ethos of the Goslings.
Yes.
Take up the broken sword of your father and strike down the darkness. Our father was Larry Goss. He was a Southern gospel music producer, arranger, orchestrator, piano player, singer, songwriter. And we did not inherit,
we didn't inherit his musical talent.
Nick, here's the thing. I've heard Nick play piano. Nick is like,
I don't know what you're talking about.
He's not bad. You're right. Okay. Yeah. So he's not bad, but he doesn't do it. I attempted to play the bass and I have zero musical ability. So, but where we do kind of, yeah, you never, I watched my bass player or my bass instructor go like this one time.
Did he just give your parents the money back?
No, he kept the money.
Oh, he kept the money.
That was the only good thing going for him with all those lessons. But where we do kind of shine as far as where we inherited Dad's talent in a logos-driven take up the broken sword of your father and strike down the darkness way is that Nick and I are both novelists. We're both writers. And that's kind of where our creative juices are channeled. And that's kind of how the Goslings started out, but it has turned into an awesome live stream interview channel and podcast. And today is a great episode because we kind of are getting back to semi roots. I guess,
kind of get to our roots tonight.
Sort of what we originally intended the Goslings to be before the Lord said, hey, you know what? I want you to do this instead.
Yeah.
So yeah.
He steered it in kind of a different direction, but we have still kept to our writer's roots.
Yeah.
And we have kept some relationships as well. And I'm never going to get away from that. It's just part of who we are.
Yeah.
We're never going to get away from that. And, whatever your talent is, whatever your skill is, however imperfect it is, take up that broken sword and use it to strike down the darkness. And what we mean by that is take whatever God's given you and use it to further his kingdom.
Yeah.
That's what it's really all about.
Because you can cut the ring of power off Sauron's hand with a broken sword, baby.
That's the truth. That's the truth. Well, thank you again, everyone, for watching. We're going to jump into our interview. We're going to arm's bleeding here. I picked a scab out of nervousness, and I'm like, sorry, it's kind of weird. We're going to get to our interview here in just a second, I promise. Sorry about the gore. But before we do, we would like to mention our sponsors.
Yes.
The first sponsor, JerichoPottery.com. Joel Jericho is a master potter. He makes the Kothon Spartan mug, which you see here before you. Isn't that cool? Look, it looks just like the Spartan shield. Isn't that cool? Yeah. But this is a handcrafted. Every one of these mugs are handcrafted. They're super strong. They're beautiful, hand painted. Every one of them is unique. He made these in collaboration with Stephen Pressfield, who happens to be tonight's guest, who is a subject matter expert on ancient Spartans, and they designed what we believe is the closest thing to the Kothon, what the Spartans would travel with, fight. Well, they wouldn't fight with it, but when they went off to war, they would take this, they would take their shield, and they would take, I don't know, not much else.
Yeah, they'd take 120 pounds of bronze, oak, and leather armor, and then a couple of 8-foot-long ashwood spears, and the Xiphus short sword.
They didn't even take yoga pants. Look at this guy. No shirt, pants. No pants, just a Speedo, a helmet, a shield, and this guy right here, Kothon Spartan. So anyway,
go to cell phone in sight.
Not a cell phone.
Just a bunch of dudes living their best life, living in the moment.
Yeah, I can't see Spartans with an Instagram account. Well, maybe an Instagram and a Facebook account.
Yeah, they get kicked off of Twitter.
Yeah, for real. But go to JerichoPottery.com and check them out there. They are really, really beautiful pieces of art, every one of them.
Yes. And if you happen to notice our Leonidian haircuts here with our beautiful sheen of facial hair, that would be thanks to Mike Fisher over at Jovanovic.com. Hair and skincare products made for real men by real men, or as I like to say, be as sexy as you are deadly. Give 007 a run for his money. Awaken your inner John Wick with Jovanovic hair care and skincare products for men.
Yeah. Make your better half doubt that.
I love that.
Stop breaking the 10th commandment.
That's right. Yeah.
Get yourself some Jardani Jovanovic.
You can see Jardani Jovanovic hair care products behind us. They make everything from hair growth serum, shampoo, conditioner, beard balm, beard oil, hand and face cream, full, skin lotion, all sorts of stuff, and a small Christian husband and wife team out of Arizona. So check them out. Go to JardaniJovanovic.com and get yourself set up, man.
That's right. That's right. Well, guys, we're going to play our interview now. I'll let you interview the guests. We will be in the chat. It will come back halfway through the interview and take a breath of fresh air with you guys, and then we'll jump back into part B.
Yeah, absolutely. So we recorded an interview last week with Stephen Pressfield, author of The War of Art, author of Gates of Fire, author of his brand new book, Gov't Cheese, a memoir. And we have established a relationship with Steve that over the past year that has been a real blessing and a very humbling honor, where we have kind of moved into a place where we do what we call fireside chats with Uncle Steve. These are quarterly interviews, usually about an hour to an hour and a half in length, where we pick one or two topics and we just sort of do a deep dive on them. So we were very honored this week to have Steve's girlfriend with us, and her name is Diana, and she is sort of his social media marketing all-around guru, assistant manager, right hand of his writing empire. I mean, she manages tons of stuff. And she kind of has her finger on the pulse of how to do, Amazon KDP and self-publishing, because the interesting thing about Steve, and he sort of talks about this in Gov't Cheese, his autobiography, he was traditional publishing for, probably the past 25 years.
He's always been traditional publishing.
He's always been traditionally published. And only over the past year or two has he decided to dovetail over into self-publishing through Amazon KDP. So we kind of wanted to sit down and just talk with them about what they experienced working with Amazon KDP and the differences coming from traditionally published environments into the Amazon KDP self-publishing arena. And Diana had some very insightful, amazing things to say, and it was a real treat because we've been kind of trying to get Diana on the live stream for a long time because she's been so kind and generous. Her and Steve both are super friendly, and they're really, really sweet, smart people. But Diana's like a lot of people, has that's not really her thing. She's more of a behind the scenes kind of person.
But you're gonna love
her. So, but yeah, I think honestly, this might be like the first time she's ever been in an interview before, as far as this whole thing goes. So we were really, really honored and very
and learned some things too.
We
went through the gauntlet of pivoting from traditional publishing to self-publishing, and she was the one that figured all that out.
She's a total autodidact when it comes to that stuff. I mean, it's very impressive. So we had a lot of fun talking about that. And then we talk about Steve's book, Gov't Cheese, a memoir, which he has a special edition, a first edition, like special bundle pack that you can get right now from his website. And you should. It's beautiful. We show it on the interview as well. So yeah, we hope you guys enjoy this, man. This was a lot of fun, and we'll do more of these fireside chats with Uncle Steve in the future. So enjoy.
You ready?
I'm ready, baby.
We'll be in the chat. Here we go. Oh, wait a minute.
Oh, just kidding.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Here we go. Who's driving this thing?
I don't know. Jesus, take the wheel.
Your YouTube feed is crap. Stop wasting your time watching bot-boosted shills and self-appointed gurus cloying for your attention. Instead, join the Goslings interview live stream and podcast. The Goslings, a dark-lit digital speakeasy of free thinkers. A super chat of radical truth-seeking wizards who eat trolls for second breakfast. Topics that'll make your mama's hair stand on end. Ideas that'll make your pastor's knees knock. Guests that will illuminate the hidden chambers of your mind. And interviews that strike down the darkness. Welcome to the Goslings.
For anybody who may be wondering, we're especially privileged today because Diana, to the best of my knowledge, I think this may be the first time that we've gotten you in an interview.
I think so.
I think this is kind of a Goslings exclusive that you've been so gracious.
It is a social media exclusive. So,
yeah, awesome. And Diana, you have been Steve's girlfriend for a long time, and you are kind of his right hand in this whole war of publishing. It seems like you are such an asset. It's awesome. Yeah.
We are.
She's the queen.
Yeah.
He's the king. What he says is he's the king and I'm everything else, which means janitor, court jester.
You're the rest of the chessboard.
I watered the lawn, all of that kind of thing. So yeah. It's the washing machine. So yeah.
Just write the books. That's how our dad and my mom was.
Yeah.
Dad worked his ass off all day, 10, 12 hours a day at a piano, writing charts or making music in the studio. And then mom pretty much ran the show from the bills to the laundry to getting us to school. And,
she ran the business too.
And the business. Yeah.
She did his scheduling and dealt with the publishing companies.
Yeah. It's a great setup that it really does work for a lot of people, and man, you can cover a lot lot of ground.
She can make the deals too. She was scarier than he was. She could make the deals.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. She could play bad cop really well, and somebody had to, because if it weren't for her, Dad would have had a new Jaguar and a boat every year, and they all would be repossessed. So somebody's got to keep them in the lane. So anyways, sorry. Go ahead, Nick.
I have a question actually, because you're using both printing platforms, Ingram and KDP.
Well, and also, sorry to jump in with Gov't Cheese, we also used a traditional offset printer. So we actually worked with 3 different printers for Gov't Cheese. Yeah. Oh, so that was yet another kind of peg in the wall.
That is fantastic.
Whole other layer. Wow.
Do on in Ingram Spark, you can have a dust jacket on your hardcover book. You can't do that in KDP, as you said.
Right.
But do you still have a hardcover version on KDP, or is it just paperback, or how are you doing that?
Not yet, because, well, yeah, we do. It's on KDP, and when somebody buys it, it comes from Ingram Spark.
Oh, okay. They send it to Ingram Spark for the printing.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
I see.
So that's
Okay.
how also you can do a workaround to have pre-orders on KDP, is you can have the book ready on Ingram Spark. You can have a drop date that's later, so you can do a 30-day, how is it selling, have it listed on KDP, and they'll do pre-orders that come from Ingram Spark, because KDP doesn't allow for pre-orders. So it's kind of a workaround to be able to get your book on Amazon for pre-ordering.
That's smart.
Without having to put it out before you want to. So you can at least get a little bit of a read on what the response might be, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Man, that is fantastic.
Yeah.
I didn't think about that. I've been too apprehensive to try to use Ingram Spark, and I've only written, middle grade books. They don't have to have dust jackets or anything like that, but I really do want to create, in addition to an amazing story, I also want it to be an amazing product. And I know that I can get that with Ingram Spark or other printers. I've just been apprehensive to jump in and learn all that as of yet. So this has been really helpful, actually.
Yeah. And for Diana and Steve, just what were some of the tribulations and trials and like real roadblocks, if any, that you guys encountered, transitioning over? Because it seems like you guys were already doing so much of the marketing and promotional stuff already. Was it just like the back of house technical stuff, like getting the covers right and everything, or were there any roadblocks that surprised you going with the self-publishing route?
You want to answer that?
Go ahead.
I mean, I guess for me, and probably for both of us, we had to establish a presence on social media. Get followers on Instagram type of thing, or establish relationships with podcasters so that you could go out on the trail, which is sort of the equivalent of going on TV shows in the old days, like to be on the Tonight Show or something. So that was is an ongoing thing that I think any writer has to do these days. And for me, that was the most part of what I did, whereas Diana was handling the technical aspects of it, and how to actually get the book on Amazon and all that sort of stuff. Why don't you answer the rest of that, QD?
Is initially Steve didn't, when we first started like social media stuff, he didn't want to do any podcasts. He was
I'm with you. Yeah.
Because I was like, oh, you need to do a podcast. He's like, I'm not doing any and so I think part of it and I mean, it's the two of you, it sounds like, have a similar relationship, is one pushing the other outside their comfort zone.
Yes.
That both of us had to kind of step outside of. My background is in design. So from a design point of view, that part was easy, but having to learn all of the other parts and deal with the printers and get on the phone with KDP when something wasn't working, or try to get somebody on the phone at Ingram Spark. We set up a store this time so that we could sell the signed books directly, which was a whole other mountain we're still climbing. But I think some of the things that I know from my background, because I worked in fashion for 30 years, is we really had to set up a production calendar and kind of know when, especially working with outside printers, it's a 3-month lead time. Like they need the manuscript to cover everything like 6 to 8 weeks ahead of time at least and then we had delays with weather, with shipping, with at the end of the year, like we ran into things that are just unexpected. And so
never mind the pandemic
about that.
Well,
I'm not so sure overall. Sorry, Nick. That
no, you're fine.
That it was worth all of the effort. I'm not so sure. I hope it is. I think
the verdict's not in yet.
I think it's sort of front loaded. This process, I think, is front loaded in terms of you do all the work up front, and then once you got that established, we hope the machine will run a little more smoothly for the rest of the way. But it's certainly been really, really hard. And like Diana's done incredible amounts of, sending out the box that you have in front of you, Jonathan.
Yes.
She did like 500. We've got 300 more packed by hand, mailed.
Yes.
We have to drive to UPS and mail these damn things. It's been massive amounts of work.
Those boxes all come in flat. So I got 800
Oh, wow.
of them shipped to me. They have to get folded.
Had to
put
fold
together.
every one of them. Yep.
All the parts get put in envelopes, everything. So it's a lot of handwork. And then packing everything, mailing everything.
Yeah.
Shipping labels. All of that kind of stuff.
Not that everybody else that would publish a book would want to do anything like this. This is just something that we did because we thought it would, be a surprise and increased value.
It was overwhelming when I opened my box, and you had the log book in there. You had the personalized card, you had the bookmark, and then the book itself. It was just. It was delightful to open it up.
It really is.
Yeah. And then couldn't wait to jump into the book, of course, which I did. But I was too afraid to make any notes, which is why I have the logbook.
Yeah. Smart move. Yeah. See me, I'm like, this is holy relic. I'm not even going to touch. I'm going to have another one that I write in, and this is going to be Diana. You did an amazing job packaging this. Like, I was so blown away when I opened this up. We're going to do a little unboxing. First of all, I open it up and there's the crinkly cardboard. And I'm like, oh, this is perfect. Like, Steve was a truck driver, like, I get it. This is like packing material from a truck. Like, this is cool. And then specialized, put your ass where your heart wants to be card,
Everybody doesn't get those, you guys, just so you know.
No,
special people. So.
I gotcha. And then here's the driver's logbook that Nick was talking about. Yep. And man, again, it's beautiful. Who did you guys go through Amazon KDP to make these as well, or
I did all of those through Ingram Spark?
This was through Ingram Spark.
Design, just because my background's in design, so I did that, and then we did it through Ingram Spark because you can order as many as you want at an author price. And
and you can get these dimensions, I think, through Ingram, whereas I don't think you can get something this small through
probably
KDP.
Not. Yeah, that's true. I don't think Amazon KDP offers something that small. And then the Mo magnet, little Mo magnet. I love this. And then the thank you letter, or the thank you card with Mo on the cover, or a facsimile of Mo. And
actually the redheaded cat. But to give credit where credit is due, our friend Jack Carr, the thriller writer of The Terminalist and all kinds of things. We kind of learned this from him when he did Savage Son, which I guess was his third or fourth book. He put out a kind of a VIP package like this that he just sent for free and for fun to people that were kind of close to him and that had helped him along the way. Cool. And when we opened our thing from him, we were blown away too. It had a book and various little coasters and magnets and this and that and the other. And we just said that we got to steal this idea. This is too good.
Yeah.
So, credit to Jack Carr on that one.
Yeah.
What was it that Laurence of Olivier was quoted as saying in Gov't Cheese, great artists or mediocre artists steal, great artists steal and make better. Which is a maxim I live by as a writer. Like, every day, there's not a day that goes by that my crypt amnesia doesn't slip in and insert something from some movie I saw 30 years ago, which may have been one that you helped write, Steve. Who knows?
That's why I'm your uncle.
That's right. You are the best uncle, let me tell you. No, Diana, I just want you to know, like, all of your sweat equity that you put into these first editions, you and Steve both, it is totally paying off as far as what I see. Like, these things are beautiful and they're still available. People can still order them through your website, correct?
Yes.
Correct.
And and everybody should. There's only going to be so many of these. You guys made what, 500? Is that right?
Well, we have 300 more, but
300.
We had two different. We had them print them. They had to print at separate times, so we have 300 more that we're going to get this week. So we'll have an additional. Well, more than half of those are already gone, so there aren't many left.
Well, by the time
that's it.
by the time anybody watches this, there might not be any left. So if you're watching this and you want one, you better jump over to that website and order one while you can.
And for what it's worth, if I lived down the road, I'd come over and fold every one of those boxes. I'd just volunteer to come over and do it, because that would just be really cool. Like, what'd you think of that? What'd you think of that package you got from Pressfield, Gov't Cheese? I was, oh yeah, it was awesome, great packaging. I folded the boxes myself.
I followed the lines,
that I can do. Well, I'd like to talk about Gov't Cheese. I'd like to ask you some questions about it. I know you had some questions too.
I did, and you know what? Diana, are you gonna stick around for the Gov't Cheese portion? Are you?
Cool.
Okay, cool. I tell you what, I wanted to ask for the Amazon KDP thing, just one last question for that. For anybody who may be watching, we have a lot of friends who are writers or who want to be writers. For anyone who may be watching, Diana, you guys have been so successful with this in such a short amount of time. What is some advice you would maybe give anybody who is looking to jump into this side of things, either coming from a writing world or just fresh off the street, if any?
I mean, I think I'm like a lifelong learner. So for me to sit down, and I've worked in Photoshop for 30 years doing design work. Yeah. So a lot of it was applying things I knew to a new technical aspect, output, as opposed to, but I think is like finding someone, if that's not you, finding someone who can do a good book interior for you, because you're putting all this time and money into something, and you want to be really proud about what you're handing off to someone. I think Steve and I are lucky because we work together, so it's easy for me. I'd bring in fonts and I'd be like, do you like this font? Do you like this color? That kind of stuff. But I think it's to be patient, because there's so many little things that come up that you don't expect, or you don't know to expect. Yeah. And I mean, I had to do the cover on this book. I had to do it over like 3 times. And I sent one thing into Ingram Spark and we got it back, and I'd forgotten to put the type on the spine. Yeah. So we got like 40 or 50 pre-orders, and people got no type on the spine, that kind of thing. And, and so I think just to be patient, and there is a lot of information out there. There are people out there too, like Maria. What's Maria's last name?
Galliano.
Maria Galliano. She's great if somebody really doesn't have any idea what they're doing. I even think it's a really reasonable price, is a great person to walk you through and help you with that kind of thing. We work with a really good person. I didn't want to learn how to lay out ebooks, so we found a good person through her to do the ebook layouts for us, because those are also, and this next one's going to be different again because it has illustrations in it.
Oh, really?
Things aren't going to be able to just flow the way an ebook normally does. It's really going to have to line up. So another new thing to learn. But
And is she somebody that people can reach out to hire, or is she booked out?
It's a good question. I don't know if we want to put her on.
I know.
For this. We'll talk to her, and then maybe people could write into you guys and see if
then we can.
Absolutely.
Without Maria, we'd have know her.
She helped us. She walked us through step by step and really helped us. And I mean, that is what she does. She does that as a consultant. So,
it's beautiful.
Can I jump in with a couple things here?
Yeah. Yes, Steve, of course.
No, I would say that maybe in my case, in the sense of books being written by me, that I have an advantage over probably a lot of people who are listening to this podcast right now, in that I've been around for 20 plus years and have a certain visibility out there in the publishing world, whereas if somebody that's kind of coming from a baseline of 0 or near 0, it might be a little harder to get on podcasts and to, get the word out to enough people. So I'm not sure that what worked for us might not work for everybody.
Oh yeah.
The other thing I would say as a positive is that if you do want to publish your own stuff, there are lots of freelance people that can help along the way, and you will need them. Like, for instance, if you were getting published by a mainstream publisher, by Penguin Random House, right? They would have an interior designer for the book. They'd have a cover designer for the book. They'd have all kinds of people that knew how to do. They would sell the audio book to a company. They would have people who do ebooks. You, the writer, wouldn't have to worry about this at all. So now if you're doing it yourself, you got to do that yourself somehow. But the good news is there are freelance editors, there are freelance ebook designers.
Yeah.
And you can just Google them, and you do have to sort of put together a little bit of a team. One person might be in Idaho, another person might be in Florida, your ebook person might be, in Minnesota.
Yep.
So you do have to sort of be a project manager yourself and coordinate all this stuff, but it can be done even if you yourself don't have the expertise to do it. You can find people and pay them, and they'll do their share of the thing. But it's a lot of work.
I'm going to add one thing to that, is that vet them well.
Yes.
Look at what they've done. Look at what
Yes.
they've done for other people and see if you like it, because things are so available. There are a lot of people who have a template and will put everybody's thing in one template. They'll give you a choice of 2 fonts, and that may be fine for some things, but vet the people well.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid to move on to the next person, and don't just accept the first person that comes along, because like a lot of things, I think there's access to a lot of information. It doesn't mean that everybody's good at it. So
Tell me about it.
Yeah.
True. Let me
I
say
got-
I have one other thing to say
Yeah.
for those who are thinking about this, is there also are outfits out there like Scribe, Tucker Max's company,
Mhm.
that have another alternative, which is basically for about 30 grand, they will do everything for you. They'll provide an editor for your book if you've never done it before. They'll design the interior, design the exterior. They'll even supposedly do marketing. I think that's probably fairly bogus, because you've got to do your own marketing. But they will sort of take you from soup to nuts. And in fact, David Goggins' book,
his first book.
Can't Hurt Me, was done that way.
Okay.
And that sold a gazillion copies.
Yeah.
So it can be done. Of course, there are a lot of people that do it that way, and they sell copies to their family, and that's about it. But again, that comes down to marketing, which is again on the author.
Uncle Steve, we have a question from one of our patrons.
Yeah.
That I think we'd like to get to, and Nick had it written down, and it comes from Shannon.
Yeah. Shannon asked if you'd ever has a book ever moved you to tears?
That's a great question. This will sound silly, but some of my own have moved me to tears while I'm writing them.
Yep.
Do you guys
Dang
have
it,
that same experience?
That was going to be my follow-up question to you.
Yeah.
Very economical.
I mean, certainly many books have moved me very close to tears. I don't know if I've actually wept or anything, but yeah, definitely books are very moving. Yeah.
What's one of the moments from one of your own works that when you were writing it, it was just like, man, this is skirting between artifice and true emotional reality.
I can't remember anything specific, Jonathan, but
Okay.
It's usually moments when a scene where you're really going for it, you're really trying to create an emotional moment, and sometimes it works, and you do, despite yourself, you feel like, oh wow, that's really hit the bullseye.
Yeah.
Diana, do you have any moments from any of Steve's books off the top of your head that I've put you on the spot? Sorry.
Yeah, don't go on the spot.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. I think in Gates of Fire,
Yeah.
there are a couple of places that I found really emotional. And I think a lot of other people have too. There's so many people that write in that have used things from Gates of Fire for their wedding vows, that have used things for, one guy had an entire metal work of a quote from Gates of Fire made for his living room wall. So I think
And
that,
did they send me any money? Did they send me $1?
Not a dime. No. Jeez. You know, what kind of fans are these?
yeah,
I mean,
it's
jeez.
amazing how many people have used, especially about when Leonidas is talking about why he chose the 300.
Yeah.
That when he's talking about the women,
Mm-hmm.
there are a lot of people who have used that, men who have used that as their wedding vows for why they've chosen this woman.
That's good.
You know?
That moment when I think it's Arete, brings Dionysus, his bastard son, so that he can go with Leonidas. That is my favorite moment, because inherently it's a shame for her and her reputation. She's sacrificing her reputation in a way to allow, and her husband and the father of her children, to allow him to go do this thing. It gets me every time. Yeah, it's just, it's super powerful. And there are moments in all of those. I can make a list, Steve.
Hello. Hello.
Welcome back, everyone. And that went by fast.
That was fun. Yeah, the first part is a little shorter than the second, but we're back. It's been fun in the chat, I'd say. My goodness, had some judgy action going on.
Had some Judge Judy's in the chat. But this doesn't meet my.
Now I will say,
Ma, meatloaf.
Some of the we want our meatloaf. We want it now.
Your pizza rolls are ready. I say that as someone who not only understands pizza rolls, but loves pizza rolls.
Yeah,
pizza rolls and ranch.
I do too.
Yeah,
and Hot Pockets.
Hot Pockets.
No, listen. We were seriously making some jokes and things.
These are jokes, people.
Yeah, that we did not chat and we will not say aloud. And then we prayed and asked forgiveness. But you guys have been great. Thank you guys for hanging in there with us, and I hope you liked the first part of our Stephen Pressfield interview. We're going to bring the second part out here in just a second. I'm going to tee that up. But first, Mike Fisher with the super chat, my man. Thank you so much for the support. Thank you so much. By the way, guys, Mike Fisher's products, hair and skin products for men, Jovanovic. Look at this guy. Look at this guy. How can you argue with that? Just go to the website.
I'm like the Vanna White of hair care products.
Yeah.
Look at me over here.
Yeah.
I have other jokes. I'm not saying them. Yep. Here's the thing. When you see me go like this, I'm just going to tell you guys. When you see me go like this, where I just go. That's like all the stuff that's in my head. That's like not okay to it's not conducive.
Yeah.
So
sometimes he exercises enormous restraint.
Yep. Big ol'
emotional damage.
You got to keep it bottled up, stuffed down deep. Don't let it out.
Shove it down deep.
Shove it down deep.
Don't ever admit that you love a puppy. You know. That Bill Burr routine, by the way, on why men die early, is that's one of the greatest routines. Also, yes, Mike Fisher for Sparta, exactly. Yes. Also, thank you to Mike, by the way, for letting us know. Apparently, Mike had tried to give us a super chat last Sunday, but he couldn't because we were still in the process of getting the back of house stuff set up with AdSense.
Yeah.
We finally got all that situated. I finally got my pin in today or yesterday.
Yep.
And we got it all set up. So we're there now.
Yeah, we're back.
Dude, yeah, it was like there were a couple days there where we were like, dude, what happened? You know.
Where did everyone go? What happened? We weren't getting no ad revenue.
It was
all
crazy.
Of our stats
took a nosedive.
Yeah,
for
we couldn't
3 days.
see anything. Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah, it sucked.
Anyway, we got it fixed.
Welcome to YouTube.
Yeah. Well, we're going to play the second part of Stephen Pressfield's interview right now. And by the time we get through the second segment, if you have never been inspired to write a book, you might be by the time we get to the end of this video. And if you haven't read his book, Gov't Cheese, it's a great memoir.
Yeah.
Dude wrote 27 years before his first book was published, and this is about that. That evolution that you go through as a writer.
Mm-hmm.
He was living the life, man. He was living the writer's life, and it finally came to fruition. And it was such an interesting path that he took to get there. 27 years writing. Yeah. On a typewriter, by the way. On a typewriter.
What we do for fun, he had to do out of necessity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
You want to talk about paying your dues, man.
For real.
Anyways,
for real.
Let's see. Chris says pizza rolls. It's a trap. No, it's seriously hot. Yeah, yeah. Pizza rolls and pizza pockets. Pizza pockets always got me more than pizza rolls because you could like bite off a little of the pizza roll and let it vent, or blow on it and force all the hot air out. But like pizza pockets have like two stages, either undercooked or molten death lava.
Yeah, if you bite off
like
the corner
lake
of
of
a
fire.
pizza pocket, it creates that fissure of steaming hot air. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah, and then inside the cheese is like literally hell lava. Like, you know how like Monster has like the mark, the 666 mark of the beast, like Monster Energy drinks on their logo. I'm pretty sure pizza pockets just like have Satan in them.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Because he's just waiting around an iceberg, that is the piece of pepperoni. And then when it gets hot, he like jumps out. He's like, I gotcha.
And he waits till you're on the toilet later.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he just cackles.
Get out of my body, devil.
All right.
I need an old priest and a young priest. All right. I'm sorry. We're done.
That has nothing to do with
Yeah.
Stephen Pressfield.
I don't know.
We realize this.
No.
We're so sorry.
Sorry, Steve. I'm sorry.
Without further ado, here's Stephen
Yeah.
Pressfield part 2. I got another quick question for you. And this one's going to be something that I think might be exclusive to the patrons, and I'll make it really quick. So you wrote for almost 30 years before your first book was published, right? Gov't Cheese tells the story of that journey, the work, the self-discovery, the mentors, the struggle, the sacrifice. What are your thoughts now about AI being able to write a story and then someone else just slap their name on it and call themselves an author?
Let's see. So can you say that? Say that one more time, Nick. I'm
Yeah.
not sure I quite understood.
Yeah. So it took a long time to really get to a level of proficiency where
I think I know what you mean. Yeah. Okay.
But now AI can instantly create a story and someone
yeah.
can call themselves an author because they wrote a book.
Yeah.
What's your opinion on that?
Even
new
without
emergence?
AI, there are a lot of people who kind of bang out something and put their name on it, and it is a book. And God bless them, it's hard to write a book. But I'm actually reading a book by Robert Greene now. I'm sure you guys are familiar with this, called Mastery.
Yes.
Where he basically talks about the long road that everybody takes. If you're a musician, if you're whatever it is, and he talks about a period of apprenticeship that people go through that might last, 10 or 15 years, where you learn from somebody. And it does seem, my book, Gov't Cheese, unknowingly, it's almost like the living example of what he's talking about in the book Mastery, that it just takes a long time, and there are mentors, and you serve an apprenticeship, and then you kind of break out of the apprenticeship, and et cetera, before you finally reach a point where you're actually a professional at something and you can really deliver the goods at that level. Yeah. But it just takes a long time. And today, a lot of people want immediate hacks that'll get them through to it. And of course, a lot of people do succeed overnight, so that in a way is a really bad thing, because it encourages other people to think they can do it too. Well, you guys know how hard it is,
Oh, yeah.
It's a long trail.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is.
One of the things I say is that if you were going to be a concert pianist, if you were going to set out to do that, or to be a brain surgeon, you would expect that you have to put in 15 or 20 years, right? But people think, well, I'll be a writer. And I thought this too when I started. I thought, oh, it's a piece of cake. I know how to write, Not true.
Steve, at the gym, there's a guy who goes to the same gym. His name is Mike O'Hearn. He's former Mr. Universe.
Okay.
Wow. He's he's gonna be in 2 movies, and one was released at Sundance. And we were talking at the gym one morning, and he said, "Yeah." Somebody said, "Oh, I never knew you wanted to be an actor." And he's like, "I've been working at this for like 22 years." So just because somebody doesn't know you haven't been doing all that work.
Oh,
Doesn't
yeah.
mean that you haven't been doing all that work. And he's like, nobody knows the work that goes into getting to that point where your book gets made into a movie, or you get you get the job of your dreams, whatever it is. No, and a lot of people don't talk about it.
Yeah.
And kind of related to that work that you have to put in, one of my favorite parts in Gov't Cheese is when you mention at the end of one of the sections, you said that you had an idea for a book, and it was a book about golf. It was one of my favorite moments. And in the next chapter, the opening of the next book, you're talking about how after your 7th revision of Bagger Vance, The Legend of Bagger Vance, you were ready to hand it. How did you know the 7th? How did you know that revision was the final one? Like, how did you know it had
that's
reached?
a great question, Nick.
Yeah.
I mean, normally I do now like 15 drafts, I would say, something like that.
Wow.
And I think you do know finally, when something's ready to go. I'm sure you guys feel the same way, but also, be it said, with Bagger Vance, I still had to do a bunch more after that, for the editorial process and stuff like that. But you do know finally when you've polished the car enough and it's really shining, and you can't keep polishing it anymore.
Yeah.
Where it's so perfect you just don't want to touch it.
Well, at a certain point,
the
you
other
start
thing
to.
about that, the sort of the lesson about that I never realized. I thought, oh, I'll write something once, maybe I'll revise it 2 times, and it's ready. And no way, that's just not even remotely true.
Yeah.
But it's the power of multiple drafts is that you can screw up the first 8 of them and get it together on the 9th one. So the great thing about writing is that the work stands still, right? It sits there.
Yeah.
You've got it in a file, and you can attack it again.
Mhm.
It's not like an athletic performance where once it's done, it's done.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And it's dormant, and it's not hurting anything to just sit there, you know? And how heavy do you get with your revisions? Like, when you go back and tackle it again, is it making a tweak here, changing a character name here, or is it, I got to take this whole first act and throw it in the garbage and completely redo the whole thing?
I think, I mean, sure, it's the same for you guys. I think on the early drafts, you do draft number 2, draft number 3, you do throw a lot of stuff out and cut a lot of stuff and change things around, and something that was at the end, you move it to the beginning, that kind of thing. But by the 9th or 10th draft, you're really getting down to kind of the fine strokes, a few changes here and there. But yeah.
I love how you open the book. I love that you, first of all, mention your typewriter. It starts off mentioning the typewriter. And because we love typewriters, as you can tell.
Yes.
I'm just really into them. The typewriter in the beginning of the book that's in the back of the van, shoved under the mattress, that's up on the crates in the back of the van. Is that the same Royal typewriter that's behind you?
It's actually not. The other one is in storage, but this is sort of a stand-in for it. Basically the same thing.
Okay.
Nice.
Okay.
So
I was going to say that one in the background looks pretty, and I wasn't envisioning a pretty typewriter.
It's funny how the typewriter, remained in storage in your van, in sort of a not dishonorable, but just sort of regulated to a back corner somewhere, and now it's in storage again, but for like much more sacrosanct purposes. In a way,
Yeah. It's weird how in real life, like if you had been writing this story, The Gov't Cheese, as a piece of fiction, and it's about a writer learning to kind of confront his calling and stop being afraid of it and actually doing it.
Yes.
You might create a symbol and give that character a typewriter and throw it in the back of a van where he never touches it. But in fact, that was absolutely true in real life.
Yeah.
So it's kind of odd, I guess, life,
But in the story, what would end up happening is like the last scene of the story in the movie would be the writer pulling out the dusty typewriter and hammering on the keys, and tears start streaming down his face, and John Williams comes in and cut to black, but but that's not reality.
Why
Reality
didn't
is
I think of that?
well, that'll be for the movie, when Robert Redford buys the movie rights.
So this is a beautiful 30-year memoir. And one thing I love so much about it is one of my favorite, I love redemption stories, but I love rags to riches stories. And this was really striking that particular nerve to me, because this is something that you lived. And like every rags to riches story, there are mentors that come along and help the hero of the story. If you could go back and spend some time and talk and see again one of those mentors or any of the people, who would it be?
Oh, it's a great question, Nick. I knew this was going to be a great question. It's sort of hard to answer because the people that are listening to us today don't know who these characters were in the book. But there was one really wonderful mentor of mine named Paul Rink, who was a writer that I used to have breakfast with every morning in his camper. And he gave me books to read. You must read Dostoevsky, you must read Tolstoy, you must read Stendhal, et cetera, and who also sort of inculcated a real sort of hardcore writer's ethic in me, and told me, you can't just be fucking around. I don't want to see you, sloughing off or taking the easy route, and it sort of also inculcated the idea that writing was a worthy venture, that it wasn't just a pursuit of some ego satisfaction. Yeah. So he died probably 30 years ago or something like that. And I miss him. I'd love to talk to him. So thinking back on it, I'd love to talk to all of them.
I'm sure
along the way.
Yeah. Is there anyone that you would choose not to see again?
No, I wish I could see everybody again.
Okay, great.
And speaking of time travel, I was reading the first probably 100 pages of Gov't Cheese, and just first of all, your story makes me feel solidarity, because there's so much of moving from one job to another and things not working, and I identify with that so much, and that's why I love Put Your Ass Where Your Heart Wants to Be, one of your motivational creative books, because that really is that's the saving grace of a writer, is you have got to you need a paycheck, but you have got to put your ass where your heart wants to be and write the damn thing, and I think about when I'm reading this in the first act, and there's that first portion of 1970, things are not going well. And I wish I could go back in time and just find 1970 Stephen Pressfield and be like, it's going to be okay. You have no idea how awesome things are going to be, but my question is, if you did that, would that change the narrative? Would that create a Back to the Future alternate history where did you need all of those experiences along the way? Or, would you have wanted a guardian angel to come along?
That's a great question, Jonathan. I think you're right. If somebody had told me it was going to be okay, that would be bad.
Right.
I think you really need in those moments to feel that it's life and death, which it is.
It is.
And that, you're 1 inch away from going under, which you are.
You are. Yeah.
That was kind of my question too. I mean, if you could go back to the truck yard, Burton.
Yeah.
In North Carolina, if you could go back and tell young Steve just 2 things, not be the guardian angel, not tell him everything's going to be okay, but you could just tell him 2 things to kind of prepare him for the long journey he's about to go through, what would they be?
I think I wouldn't have told him anything, Nick. I would have just let him, marinate in his own juices.
I love it. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that is what you need a lot of times as a writer. And I'll tell you, it's so funny. I had not touched my typewriter in probably 8 months until I started reading Gov't Cheese. And then I busted it out 2 weeks ago, started typing on it. And I wanted to ask you about this. I have started doing an experiment where the tone and the voice when I use a typewriter is different than when I use my laptop. And I've started employing that to change my character perspective.
Very interesting.
And so and it's been a great device. And like many things, I have you to thank for that, because again, I would not be doing it if it weren't for Gov't Cheese. Do you ever go back to the typewriter, or do you ever?
No,
Yeah.
it's too
You're
hard.
probably sick of it.
You're
It's too
sick
hard.
of it.
I don't think I have the strength in my pinky anymore.
Oh
But like
man,
Diana
no kidding.
will write longhand sometimes, right?
Yeah.
Because
And
and I don't know if this is how you feel. I can type really fast,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Yeah.
but it makes my thoughts go too fast.
Yes.
In a way. And when I'm writing, I have to slow my thoughts down and actually write them out. And
Yeah.
I don't forget about them. It's so easy to type things
Mm-hmm.
but when I'm writing things by hand, I have to slow everything down. It's not just that the writing gets slower, but my brain slows down too. And you kind of think about, oh, and this happens. And then, oh yeah, this could possibly happen. But otherwise you're just writing thoughts down, I think, and not connecting them always necessarily, you know? And so I like to sit and write by hand. I like that. Yeah.
That is a great observation, because I type decently fast, not as fast as Jonathan, but I type pretty fast. But when I move it over to a typewriter, it has that same effect on me, where it does force me to slow way down. And I don't know why. Maybe it's just there's more movement. It's mechanical. The keys have to go way down, and there's the striking motion, and I have to, and I'm trying not to think about like spelling errors and all those things. But as I'm getting out each word, it's slower. It gives you time to think about what you're actually typing. That's great. And thank you for sharing
and
that.
you're actually putting something on paper, which I think that physical act is also important for embedding something in your kind of muscle memory.
It
that
does
you're
build neural
actually
pathways.
Tangibly putting something on paper, where a screen, we do so much on screens that, we order pizza, make hotel reservations.
Yeah.
I think sometimes doing things on the computer, you forget that you're actually embedding something in something.
Yeah.
And at the stroke of a key, all of your work can just vanish.
yeah,
Mhm.
that's
It
true.
doesn't even exist anymore. Unlike a typewriter where you have something in your hand, I don't know, which is a small thing, but there is a little satisfaction in that. Right? Hey, look at this thing that I created that I can't just make disappear instantly.
Well, they did psychological studies on the link between memory retention and handwriting.
Yeah.
Especially in regards to education and students. And there is a proven correlation between retention and physically writing something, which is, and it even translates to the typewriter. David Sedaris, the famous comedy writer, in Me Talk Pretty One Day, talks about that, the differences between the two. And he says, unlike the faint scurry of fingertips on a keyboard, the clatter of a typewriter suggests that you're actually building something. And the worst case scenario, he goes on to say, like, the worst case scenario is at the end of the day, even if I've failed, I can look at the waste paper basket full of crumpled up attempts and know that, well, at least I took down a couple trees with me. So there is something about it, Man, how much time do we have with you guys? I know we're kind of pushing.
Let's say 15 minutes.
15.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome. Yeah.
All right. One more question for me. The periods, it seems like there were different phases that you went through, occupational phases and mentor phases. And I know that it wasn't exactly in chronological order. There was some going back and forth. But when you look at those mentor phases, and they were all great, but if you could go back and relive one and try to get a little more from that particular mentor, who would it be? Which one would it be?
That's another great question. I mean, you're delving into the past here, Nick.
It's great. I was fascinated by this book.
Great memoir.
Well, that's a great question. One of the mentors in the story was a guy who I called John from Seattle, because I never knew his last name. And this was when I was, picking fruit in Washington State.
Yeah.
And he was everybody that was in the bunkhouses in this migrant labor type of scenario were all fruit tramps, guys that like rode the rails type of thing. And they were basically all wino alcoholics type of guys. And John was one of those guys, but he was like he was the fastest picker out of, hundreds of people. And he was also a Marine or former Marine who had been at the Chosin Reservoir in Korea. And I don't know if anybody knows about that, these young people today, but that was where the a Marine regiment was surrounded by the Chinese 9th Army in temperatures that got to 40 below zero, where when the Marines were carrying their dead comrades and loading them on trucks, they sometimes had to break the frozen arms off them to get them onto the trucks. And he was there. So that, to me, he never talked about it. In the story, I asked him, what was it like? Which was like the dumbest question you get asked. And he just said, cold, And I said, in the book, I said, if he had said anything else, I wouldn't have believed him. But I would have loved to have known his story. He never really told me his story. I would have loved to ask him, how did you get to be living in a single room occupancy hotel? And what is the drinking all about? And why are you so good at this? And he also had a great ethic, a work ethic that like the big thing in that bunkhouse scenario was quitting. People couldn't last the whole season. And there's a phrase I talk about, pulling the pin, meant when you left, coming from the railroad, when you just decouple a car, you pull a pin out. And he was the guy that just wouldn't let me quit, much as I wanted to. And I never really knew why. What did he see in me? What was his backstory? Why was he so such a pro? But yet he was, the rest of the year he was basically a guy that would drink himself to sleep each night. Yeah. So I wish I could have interrogated him. I'd be amazed if he was still alive now. But it would be great if I got a postcard, and saying, hey, that was me.
Hopefully, I'll say, I think it was our second or third interview with you, Uncle Steve, where I asked if I could write your biography, and you leaned into the camera and you said, no. And I'm so glad that, we're here now with your autobiography, your memoir, Gov't Cheese, as opposed to letting my dumbass try to write it. What motivated you to finally do this, to make Gov't Cheese?
This lady right here.
Nice.
Maybe I should even let you answer that question there, honey.
Yeah, Diana.
I mean, he would tell me stories all the time, and I would say, you have to write this stuff down. Like, because nobody cares about it. And I said, yes, they do. People want, people want to know that it's not too late. Yeah. That just because you're driving a truck right now doesn't mean you can't produce a film one day, or doesn't mean you can't own your business or open a restaurant. And I think that people can't get enough of that, especially in this social media world where we see these, what seems like immediate success. The word of success and what success is has been diluted so much, I think, is for young people, especially, or for anybody, actually, And so we were in Nashville and Steve was doing a talking thing, and I said, tell him the gorilla story. He's like, nobody wants to hear that story. And so it was constantly, and I said, you have to write this stuff down, and so finally I broke him. Finally I broke him, and he's like, okay, I'll start writing it down. But yeah, I think that I don't think these kinds of stories ever get old, and I don't quite honestly think there are enough of them around at the moment that people can really relate to and see themselves. And I don't think there are a lot of people who are truck drivers who want to write a novel who see somebody else who's done that or talks about it. I think there may be a lot of people, but they don't necessarily talk about it. So I thought it was important.
Well, we appreciate you opening up about this time in your life, and we appreciate you, Diana, for getting him to do it.
Yeah.
I'll say one thing for us, our aspiring writers that are listening to this, for the first probably even 6 or 9 months when I started working on this book, I was full of self-doubt about it.
Constantly.
I thought this is a bad idea. Nobody's going to care about all the things, which is basically resistance with a capital R.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say to anybody that's started working on something in the early stages and full of self-doubt, keep going, which I tell myself every time because I'm always full of self-doubt. Just keep going. And at some point, I did finally say to myself, maybe this will help people, this book, maybe it's not just me being an egomaniac telling, my dumb stories, but maybe this, this ordeal that I went through will inspire somebody else. So then I stopped having the doubt.
And that was probably close to a year in because,
Wow.
I'd ask him every once in a while, how's it going? I didn't pester him about it, but sometimes he'd be like, I don't know. I don't know how to write this book. I don't know how to do this. Nobody's going to care about this. And then I remember when he was like, oh, I feel like it's turning into something.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I've gotten a handle on a little bit of what I want to say or how I want to say it. And he was like, it's not like a straightforward memoir or autobiography. So I don't know if people are going to get it. And I'm like, it doesn't really matter if anybody else gets how you want to tell your story, So,
Yes. It honestly, Diana and Steve, it brought me a lot of peace reading Gov't Cheese. As someone,
why is that, Jonathan? Just if you don't mind my asking, why?
No, solidarity. I read your story, and I would not be a writer if it weren't for Gates of Fire and War of Art and so many of these other amazing works that you've done. But I read your story and I identify with it. I see myself in, the times where commitment didn't work, or the times where I screwed it up, or I couldn't get this to work, or I couldn't figure this out, or my heart just wasn't in something and it detonated it somehow, or I had to follow my passions, and do something like with you in The Legend of Bagger Vance, walking away from, your screenwriting career, and it really brought me a lot of peace about my own failures or perceived inadequacies in light of, seeing you go through this journey, and it helped me understand myself more.
Oh, great. Good.
So,
good. I'm glad.
And I'm dumb. So there are plenty of people out there who are way smarter who will,
Me too.
and as and kind of as an aside to that, or along with that, the very first time we interviewed you, you told us about that, 27, 28 year period that you were writing before your first book was ever published. And I had never heard that before. And I now reading about that period of time, it makes me realize that I'm inspired to give the process its due.
Yeah.
And I've cheated myself in some ways by taking some shortcuts.
Yeah.
And I got to keep going. I got to keep after it, and keep growing. And so it was kind of convicting to me, which is a good thing.
Oh, that's good.
So,
by the way,
thank you again.
Robert Greene's book, Mastery. I recommend this to anybody. Green with an E at the end.
Yeah.
Really good on the same sort of subject, but from a, maybe a broader intellectual way, not an actual story of an individual.
Yeah.
Just about the whole sort of concept of going from knowing nothing to knowing something.
Yeah.
Over a long period with a lot of setbacks and a lot of dead ends.
Hey, if you guys have been enjoying this interview and you'd like to hear the rest of it, including some really down and dirty stuff that we're not allowed to say here on YouTube, head over to patreon.com/the Goslings. We'd love to have your support there and share exclusive content with you.
That's right. Keep it cool. And remember, these are interviews that strike down the dark.
They do indeed strike down the darkness. They strike down all the darkness.
That's right. Strike it down hard.
So hard.
So hard.
Well, there you have it. There you have it.
That's right. What'd you think of that, Joe?
I thought it was interesting. It was very cool. Yeah, I like him.
Goss Hog in the house.
I still need to finish Gates of Fire. Super good.
Oh my gosh.
Are you
How
reading
many-
Gates of Fire?
I read some of it. I've never finished it though.
I think I gave it to you like years ago.
Yeah, years ago. Yeah, long time ago. Time ago.
Took it there.
Well, what did you guys think? I'd love to
Yeah.
hear your thoughts on the interview. Apparently, we have a new T-shirt that we have to. Let's do this.
We have
Let's get the
so
live
many
chat.
awesome ideas for a new typewriter shirt.
Yeah, we got to make a new typewriter shirt now.
I don't know which
Typewriter bigotry.
I don't know which is better. Like
Chat GPT is just typewriter bigotry or something. Something to that effect.
Yeah.
I don't know.
there are about 4 really solid ideas for typewriter shirts in the chat. I am very impressed with you guys.
That was great.
Just
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah. Well, I hope you guys liked it. I hope you guys enjoyed hearing from one of the greatest living novelists.
Yeah.
Certainly of in the past 40 years, 30,
Oh my
40
gosh,
years.
yeah. I mean, like in a way, the Goslings may not exist if it weren't for Stephen Pressfield. Not just from a practical standpoint of we interviewed him and that kind of got us rolling with more interviews with him and more in the idea of interviewing people. But if our eldest brother BJ, this guy's dad, had not given Stephen Pressfield's Gates of Fire to Nick.
Yep.
And then Nick gave it to me.
Yep.
And it became my favorite novel. That, along with Stephen Pressfield's War of Art, are the 2 things that are the backbone, the foundation upon which the Heavenly Realms series was built, which I've been working on for 20 years, you know, and then Nick became, an author with the Travelers League.
Yep. After I read The War of Art, which is his
right,
book about overcoming resistance and grinding out your craft and learning how to work.
Yeah.
And artists of all practices have read The War of Art.
Yeah.
I mean, it's basically
Painters.
it's the standard go-to. It's like standard curriculum for an artist.
Yeah, or just anybody who wants to be a professional, whether you want to be a welder or a painter or a professional bodybuilder,
This guy.
or
gonna
or
go
whatever,
all the way.
chef, I mean, just anything. Like you want to be a professional dog walker, read The
Mhm.
War of Art. You want to be a CEO, read The War of Art. I mean, it's like fundamental psychological reading on the same vein in the same vein as How to Win Friends and Influence
Yep.
People and the 40 Laws of Power and The Art of War by Sun Tzu, and
Yeah, Stephen Pressfield. He's written such just
and that's just iceberg.
groundbreaking. Oh yeah,
Tip of
The
the
Legend of Bagger Vance was an okay movie.
Yeah,
Everyone's heard of it. It was a great movie. I think did it win an Academy Award or it was nominated? I know
I think it was nominated. Yeah,
but the book is one of the best novels I've ever read.
yeah, a modern
It
American
is so
classic.
good. It is. Yes, it's a modern American classic.
Yeah,
It will endure the test of time.
Yeah.
For sure. Mama Show OC says, yes, such an awesome interview. All of Stephen Pressfield's interviews are home runs with
Oh,
the Goslings
thanks.
anway. Thank you for that.
That's
I
very sweet.
appreciate that
Thank
so
you.
much. And super chat from
Oh,
Chris
nice.
Caps. Awesome as always, gentlemen. Wow, that's really loud.
That was
My
super
apologies on how loud that is.
Super loud. Nick had cranked up the volume a little earlier.
Turn that
Because
down.
we were
I
having a hard time.
apologize.
Chris is like, "Can I get my $2 back?" In fact, I need you
Dude,
guys to
that
pay
was-
me like
let me just-
$200 for an
Oh.
ENT appointment. Everybody's kids are awake now.
Yeah, thanks, Nick and Jonathan. Great. Oh my god.
The volume was a little low on Steve and Diana's mic, so like during the interview, we had cranked up the volume so we could hear a little bit better in our headphones.
Hey, Mike Fisher asks if we have seen Black Butterfly. Have you seen Black Butterfly, a 2017
No.
film? Antonio
Antonio
Banderas.
Banderas.
I have
No.
not. I don't know what it's about.
I haven't heard of that.
Yeah.
No, is it creative? It's about writing or something like that. Just right? Yeah. Sorry, Tricky.
Sorry, Tricky. Dude, I am so sorry. Guys, I'm turning this way down. I am so sorry. Let's do that again. Let's do a nice little gentle soft. Go ahead.
Let me do it.
Let me
you
do
do it.
See how nice that was? That's where it should be. Mama Shop, my ear was literally vibrating with words. I'm going to take the fall. This is totally my fault, guys. Totally my fault.
Waking the dogs.
Yeah, sorry, Chris.
Who let the dogs out? The Goslings. That's
yeah.
who.
Believe me, I defecated in my own pants.
Oh,
as well.
wow. Thanks for
Yeah,
Again. Yeah.
that's that. Yeah, again.
sharing.
Yeah, that's what happens.
I was reading, dude. Actually, I was reading that very part in the book, dude. That's from the movie, but
Oh, yeah.
I was reading that chapter last night.
Really?
Yeah.
My goodness.
Yeah.
Let's see. I saw another comment back here unrelated to me destroying everyone's eardrums. Oh, Dusty Schwartz said, I came in late. Put your ass where your heart wants to be. Hit home with me. Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, it's a great
book.
yeah, he has we talk about the War of Art and the Gates of Fire because those are, and the Legend of Bag of Vance because those are kind of like the three highlights for Nick and I. But Stephen Pressfield has a wide catalog of creative and motivational nonfiction. Started with the War of Art, and then Put Your Ass Where Your Heart Wants to Be. Nobody Wants to Read Your Shit. Authentic Swing, Turning Pro.
Yep.
There are tons of them, and they're all that good, and they're all like essential reading. And if it weren't for those books, Nick and I would have never gotten into writing, and we would have never started having writers' nights on Sundays, which we did for a year before we ever went to YouTube with anything. And then from our writers' nights, that's where we started doing these YouTube videos where we would just give updates on our stuff that we thought maybe we could use on social media somehow or something. And then we got an interview with Gary Wayne. We got an interview with Stephen Pressfield, and it's been this ever since. So really, ultimately, the Goslings really kind of has Stephen Pressfield to thank in a lot of ways
for sure.
our existence.
And you probably noticed from my inability to sit still, I was so squirmy that I was really, really nervous. And this is like the 5th time we've interviewed him.
I'm always nervous.
And I'm moving around. I'm fidgety enough as it is, but I was plugged in and amped up. I was so nervous. So my apologies if that was distracting at all. But he's a big, big deal.
Yeah.
Just in his own right. But he's also one of my all-time favorite authors.
Yeah.
And every time I get to talk to him, it's just like bucket list.
And he's super sweet. That's the thing about Steve is he's very generous. He's very kind. He's just a golden spirit.
Yeah,
man.
He really is. He
Yeah,
really is.
and
And Diana is too. She was great. We've never met her before. We've communicated with her in email.
Yeah.
But got to see her face to face, talk with her. Super sweet. Absolutely love her.
Yeah.
Smart. He was able to figure out, I've never done Ingram. I've never had to figure all that out. I know it's way more complicated than KDP. She just took the bull by the horns and made it happen. Yeah. And it's a beautiful product.
Yeah, they are. You want to talk about a power couple? Those two belong together.
Yeah.
I mean, they are awesome. They are such a cool team, and we're really grateful. We love Steve, so we're really grateful that Diana's there to sort of watch his 6. And Diana is a force to be reckoned with. That's for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
We were very honored and privileged to have her on, and we'll have more of these with Steve. We're doing these every quarter. So we got to plan the next one. In fact, Nick and I were talking about it in between our interview that we conducted today and the live stream that we're in right now. We were kind of trying to figure out exactly what we want the next fireside chat with Uncle Steve.
Yeah. You know what? Mike Fisher says that he must be referring to that movie Black Butterfly. It's about a writer with a lot of twists and turns.
Interesting.
I'm sold.
Yeah.
I'm sold.
Yeah, dude, you know what? Honestly, it's so weird. I don't know if it's just a me thing, but a lot of the movies about writing, whether they're horror movies or just sort of psychological dramas or whatever they are, or even comedies, they're a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah.
There's the one with Johnny Depp. There's the one with Nicolas Cage. There's the one with Will Ferrell. I mean, they're a bunch of movies,
Does anyone out there do any writing?
Yeah.
Anybody in the chat? I mean, I know Jay Reese is an author. She wrote the Brumbltide series.
Yep.
She's got book 4 of that coming out soon. It's a great, I'd say, middle grade fantasy. My kids read all 3, waiting on, we got to get number 4. Anyone else out there ever tried their hand at putting a book, not published a book, but just writing? I would love to know if anybody in the chat has ever tried to write fiction at all or anything like that.
Yeah.
sound off if you have it. And does anyone in the chat have that? What I really want to know is who has a typewriter.
That's really what he wants
Tricky.
to say.
Tricky says he's written a children's book.
Oh,
That's
that's cool.
amazing. I don't know. Have you? Is it published at all? Did you self-publish it at all?
Yeah.
If so, dude, send me the link. I'll check it out.
Yeah.
Give you the good reviews, all that good stuff.
Tricky is right too. He and Gary both said that Steve, seemed very humble, and humility is always a winner. You're absolutely right on both counts,
Yep.
gentlemen.
Yep.
Steve is, and I was joking with Nick about it while this was playing. I was like, the irony is, like, I've been a super fan of Steve's books for a long time, and he's a friend now. So like that's kind of like that's a little heady, right? But like I have all these questions about Steve's books that I would love to talk to him about. But Steve is such a humble guy. He does a Jordan Peterson thing where he knows not to like focus on himself, and he kind of like wants to talk about other people and other stuff. And because he is so humble and he's just cool. So like it's kind of funny because it's like, I want to talk to you about all your cool books, and he's like, yeah, but there are all these other cool books, so it's always like a cool education on multiple levels.
Mama Shaw OC says, I have written a couple of children's books, unpublished.
Oh, you need to get on that.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to reach out to Jay Reese and have her bug you about, well, never stopping until those books are published. And by the way, guys, I don't know if you knew this or not, but Mama Shaw OC is also a fantastic artist.
Yeah.
Visual art illustrator. Just saying. You probably didn't want me to say that. But you are. I've seen some of your stuff on Instagram. It's awesome. It's really awesome. Tricky first Chris says, me, I have a typewriter in the closet. Yes.
Nice.
Yes. Do you know what kind? Do you know what kind it is at all, Chris? That's pretty amazing. You deserve something really good for owning a typewriter. No, yeah, do brother love.
Hey, Tommy. Brothers don't shake
Yeah.
hands.
Welcome to the family. Welcome to the family.
Typewriter brother love.
Yeah, typewriter brother love. Yes. Mama Shaw OC says, mine were heathen themed books for my heathen days. They'll never be published. Oh, we can do some rewrites.
Yeah.
Some revisions.
Yeah. Did you
No
not hear
problem.
Steve? He talked about like 9 revisions. Come on. We can. All right. I tell you what. We just have a nice old fashioned book burning, and we start from scratch.
There we go. Noah Tricky says, not published. It's called Noah and the Fairy Tale Mill.
Nice. Yeah.
Fairy Tale Mill.
Hmm.
Cool. Sounds very
Interesting.
interesting.
Dude.
Sounds very interesting.
Amazon needs it, Tricky. I'm telling you, and that's the same thing with Mama Shaw. Like that's kind of why we push for children's books, because young adult and middle grade fiction is so, and even younger fiction is just so infested to the marrow with woke, self-destructive, sick stuff that like you need some like based, healthy, psychological, logos driven content.
Yeah, if you guys are on Instagram and you want to see some of the absolute woke crap that's being put out there in front of our little kids in public libraries, go to, I think it's called The Based Librarian.
Oh, nice.
Based Librarian on
Okay.
Instagram. Check her out. Apparently, from what I understand, she's one of the librarians.
Mm-hmm.
She has, but nobody knows she has this Instagram. She doesn't use her real name. So when no one's
Awesome.
looking, she takes pictures of all these awful woke books and puts them on her Instagram to raise awareness.
Nice.
She's like incognito. She's like she's an agent. She's an agent.
She's behind the walls of
It's
Jericho.
really cool.
Waiting for the
really
horn.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah. Tricky says, I need someone to go through and edit it. It all costs so much money. It's true. Editing
Yeah.
is it can be very expensive. It
Well,
can
you
be very
know,
expensive.
Go to Story in Stephen Pressfield's one of his other interviews. We talked about storygrid.com.
Yeah, storygrid.com.
And Tricky, storygrid.com is ran by one of Steve's buddies. And I think, is that Sean? Is it his editor who runs Storygrid?
Yeah.
I believe so. Yeah. So storygrid.com is a hub for all types of editors and you can hire them, whether they're a content editor or a punctuation and grammar you know, a proofreading editor, like whatever type of editor or story structure editor, whatever you want, you know, go to storygrid.com and see. It's been a while since I've seen how expensive they are, but it's worth checking out at the very least.
Yeah.
And if you still run into a brick wall there, Adam, our narrator, Adam Burrell narrates, or he both narrates and edits my books. He might be willing to edit yours as well, especially since it's a children's book and it won't take nearly as long to edit as it does one of my Heavenly Realms novels. So,
not sure why the camera got so bright. It looks like the Shekinah glory just settled on us here in the Tiki Niki Lounge. Sorry about that. I got moon face. Anyway, this has been super. This has been fun. Let's give our patrons a shout out.
Yeah.
We will start with our Hemingway level patrons, kind of our top dogs, if you will. Mama Shaw OC, Jody S, American Cars.
The sun also rises on you.
Yeah, may the sun also rises on you.
Also... What's for whom the bell tolls? It tolls for these people.
It tolls for these.
Who's a Metallica fan out there? Who knows for whom the bell tolls? Give it to me. Do it.
I don't know. Well, while they're maybe responding,
Clicking
our
away.
Orwell level patrons, our Backbone, Cascadian Breeze, Gay Bellow Music, Christy D, Mike Fisher, Ice Queen Empress, Blue Eyed Bandit, Carol J, Jamie J, Sean E, Sunny, Michelle, Charlotte. God bless you guys. Thank you so much for the support.
Yes.
So much for the support. And wait, somebody made a comment here. Let's see. Let me check it out. There we go. Top tune.
See, I knew I had some cool people.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yep.
Yeah. He attracts the Metallica demographic.
I am the Metallica demographic. Yeah.
I'm more of the James Taylor demographic.
Well, you know, not for nothing,
Yay.
but which one of us is married with 2 kids and which one of us is not? So you know,
Dude, I'm telling you, listen, I'm telling
everybody has to pay a price
you.
for
Dude,
something.
I'm telling you, pull out a little Sweet Baby James.
Yeah.
Play a little Sweet Baby James on a date.
You got a little Sweet Baby James.
And you'll have a
on the
second
way.
date.
And then you have a little Sweet Baby James.
Oh my gosh.
Don't listen to this, Joe. Don't listen to any of this. Don't listen to
And don't ever let a girl play any Tony Braxton around you.
Oh,
It's
no.
over. Yeah.
When it's over.
Yeah. You will be a husband and a father.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tony Braxton is like voodoo.
Okay.
It's powerful. Yeah. Mhm. I'm just saying.
That's awesome.
I know. I've watched many men. They've tried and failed. They've tried and died.
Hey, we're gonna try this cool new. Thing here. If you're not a patron, you can become one. You can scan that QR code or go to patreon.com/the Goslings, or check this cool graphic out. I'm playing with the new stuff on Restream.
Yeah.
There it is. Isn't that cool? We're really
Right.
excited about all these cool new changes. Restream should give us a discount on our subscription. This is really great.
Yeah.
Very good. So we would love to have your support over there. We want to keep bringing these great guests back. We want to expand the show. We need there's some equipment that's desperately needed. We need some help desperately, and becoming a patron helps us get to that point where we can actually do some of these things and make the show better for you.
Yeah.
And that's what we're aiming for. So we really, really appreciate all your support thus far. And if we hadn't said it yet towards the tail end of the video, once again, if you're still watching or just started watching and you haven't subscribed, please do.
Yes.
And if you've already subscribed, just hit the like button. Just hit the like button. It helps so much. It tells the algorithm that it needs to show this to more people so we can bring more great people into our community.
Yeah.
And unless you guys want to keep small, unless you like it tight and in like it is, fine, don't hit anything. It's great as it is. But it would really help us grow the show, and let's trick out that algorithm.
Yeah. I mean, you know, not for nothing, but like someday, like Lord willing, you know, if Nick and I can like do this full time, we could probably have.
We could do a stream a night.
Yeah, I mean, we could have 5 interviews
a week, easy.
a week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We could just write and live stream.
Yeah. Right. And live stream. Yep. And you know, teach pew pew courses. So
Right. Pew-pews.
yeah. I don't even know what like you can say on the internet anymore.
Yeah, it's a moving
such a-
it's a moving I almost said Target. Can I say? I don't know. Can I say that?
Is it a white target?
Lead receptacle. I don't know. Maybe
We're still
that could
talking
be
about
worse.
typewriters. Yeah, I think that might be worse.
Okay, I'm not sure. Mike Fisher says awesome show. Mike Fisher says awesome show. Goss Brothers, thanks, man.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Mike.
Gary says great stream. God bless. God bless you too, Gary. Glad you joined us tonight.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tricky. A great chat as always. So good to see you and
Yeah.
American Cars. Thank you
Yeah.
guys for. American Car says sorry was so quiet doing family time. Oh, that's okay. That's okay. You're doing family time and you're watching this. That's amazing, dude. That's awesome. Thank you. Enter Sandman. Mike
Oh,
Fisher.
yes.
It's a classic.
Mhm.
The quintessential Metallica piece, I think.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Yeah, Gabe, thank you as well. And appreciate everyone watching. And we're going to catch up with you guys next week. We're going to have John Holler on from Prophecy Update.
Yep.
See, I said his name, and the Shekinah glory comes back. Look how bright it is all of a sudden. Yeah. Oh, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. As soon as you say it, it goes away.
Mm-hmm.
That's how things are. All right. That's all I got. Anything else?
No, you know what? Nick writes books on Amazon.
Oh,
Nick
yeah.
Goss on Amazon. Travelers League and Henry Half Moon. And then I write the Heavenly Realms novels of angelic war fiction. So Nick writes awesome young adult and middle grade fantasy fiction and urban paranormal fiction with Henry Half Moon. And then I write basically Christian epic fantasy, I guess.
Yeah.
Is probably the closest shorthand.
Yeah.
And
links are in the description.
And they're available in all formats. That's a great way to support the show, too. And if you guys have read them and you like them, leave a review. If you hate them, then send them to your enemies.
Yeah.
No, we really appreciate you guys watching, and we appreciate everybody's support. It means a lot to us, and it kind of keeps us motivated to keep doing this. And we're going to steer into it more as time allows.
Oh,
and
Joe.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, thanks, Joe.
Yeah.
There we
Look at
go.
that. Nick.
There we go.
we go.
Joseph coming in the clutch. That's perfect.
Yo.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's Heavenly Realms. That's the first book, Empyrean Falling. And that's
The
Timepiece. Nick's first book in the Travelers League series.
Yeah.
So you can get something for you, something for your kid, and then buy Stephen Pressfield's Gov't Cheese or The War of Art.
Yeah.
Or like anything that Stephen Pressfield has written.
Anything is going to be great.
You're gonna dig. Yeah. It's great.
A Man at Arms. Get a Man at Arms
Man
first.
at Arms.
It's so good.
Yeah. If you're a Christian, like you're gonna love a Man at
Yeah.
Arms. It's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right, guys. Well, thank you so much. We enjoyed talking to you guys. Hope
As
you enjoyed the
always.
video.
We love you guys. God
We got
bless
Joe with us.
Boss
We will
hog.
be next Sunday. Next Sunday will be at roughly between 5 and 6 p.m. I guess.
Yeah, it'll be between 5 and 6, depending
then-
on how much time we get with our guests. Oh, wait, no, next Sunday.
Next Sunday we're doing the Illuminati after.
Yeah, let's do 5.
5.
Yeah, Illuminati after party next week.
Yeah.
Full live stream.
Yep.
5 p.m. Central Standard Time.
Yeah.
Right here on the Goslings.
Yeah. Check it out.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a lot of fun. We're gonna hang out and we're just gonna chat and do this and just have a blast. You know?
Yeah.
Strike down the darkness.
Strike down the darkness. That's right, baby. All right.
Ready?
Until next time. Yep. I am Jonathan,
I'm Nick. And this is Boss Hog.
and we are the Goslings. Go forth.
And strike down the darkness.
See you guys.
See ya.